Hi guys, welcome back and Happy New Year. New Year's Day morning here in the UK, and surprisingly the weather is pretty good at the moment. The last day or so, last couple of days, the temperatures have been quite high. I think we're expecting about 15 degrees here in the UK today, which is unprecedented for January. But we're back with the GPX, part 3 of the touch and go carburetor testing. First couple of parts went okay, installation good, no problem at all. And then we had the first day of testing, which was 4 days ago. A bit mixed on the testing. I'll just try and keep the sun out of the screen, which is behind me, directly behind me. And yeah, a bit mixed. We went back to the drawing board with the settings on the carb, went straight back to the base settings on the carburetor, because I was like, I didn't know if I was going forwards or backwards with it, to be honest. A lot of fiddling about backwards and forwards to the garage, adjusting the carb, turning the meter on, all that sort of stuff. I'm really up and down. So I went back to basics, then we leaned it out and kept leaning it out to the point where it wouldn't run. Now that was a rainy day, so there was no footage for that day because it was pretty bad conditions. And then we went the opposite way to rich, to riching it up, and we ended up being 3/8 of a turn richer from standard setting. So I've come to a happy medium with the carburetor at the moment. In terms of the bottom to mid-range torque, I'm not convinced at the moment. I think the stock carb give a bit better performance in the bottom and mid-range. But what I will say about this carb is, this touch and go carb, the fuel efficiency just massively improved, absolutely massively improved. I mean, I did 2 hours riding yesterday, well, an hour and 50 minutes yesterday, just under 5 litres of fuel in that time, and it was round this field, ripping it up on the pipe. Down the straights, on the pipe, up the banks and stuff, and then some simulated trail riding around the field in the sort of higher gears. But 2 hours of mixed riding around here, fast going at times, and yeah, just under 5 litres in an hour and 50 minutes, which I was really impressed with. So when you look at what happened to me in Wales on the first race, what I did at Walters Arena, we did 10 litres in an hour and 40, which was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So the touch and go carb is a lot better in that respect. I mean, I've not given up with the stock carb at the moment because, you know, the jets what I wanted never came. So we're just messing with the needle and the jet that I had. So I've now got some different jets for it. In the next couple of months, I'm going to do a back-to-back test with the touch and go carb and the stock carb, with some settings that I'm getting from a friend in relation to what he's got on his bike, and it works pretty well. So that's for summer in a couple of months' time when the weather's picking up. That's in the spring, because I think this weather is not going to last very long here. I think in the next week or so we're going to see some really sort of cold temperatures. The good thing about this field is I've got the bank, so I can just ride the bank if I want to and keep it up. Down here, coming down here doing an hour, 2 hours is absolutely great for core fitness, for bike fitness, fantastic. Cannot knock it, and that's why I've got this GPX, predominantly for that, for bike fitness, not for hard enduro stuff, but it's mainly for bike fitness. I will do some races on it, but I'm going to be selective on where I take it for racing. It's got to be fast flowing sort of stuff where I'm going to race it. The more technical you get with it, the more the bike seems to you know, fall short a little bit from a power point of view. The chassis, suspension, everything else for the price point, it's pretty good. I can't knock it, and it's doing everything I want round here. I'm not even thinking about doing anything with the suspension, and I've got to the point where I've spent enough on the bike now. I've got the bike where I want it with all the mods that I've done. I think it's about £123 over budget. So we're what, 49.50 for the bike, plus the £623 in modifications that I've done, which includes the hydraulic clutch conversion, the Enduro Engineering sump guard, which were the biggest points, and the carb as well. The carb, the three big things there which I put on the bike, which are the bulk of that money. The other little bits and pieces which I would recommend everybody does with their GPX costs around 60 bucks. If you want to say it American, 60 bucks or 60 pounds UK to get all those tiny little parts to just let that train go past. Yeah, just to get all those tiny little parts costs about 60 bucks, and it just makes the bike that bit more robust. And you know, at the end of the day, we'll talk about the bike now. Let's have a look at it. The carb for one. So we've spent the last 3 to 4 days now testing this carb, getting it set up, and I'm at that point now where I'm fairly happy with it, to be honest. It's enough to spend on a cheap bike. Let's just remember what this bike is. It's a budget bike, and I bought it for a reason. It's for fitness more than anything. Bit of a practice bike. It falls short in a lot of areas for hard enduro, but for general fitness, trail riding, some hare and hound events, I do daunt a dusk on it again, no problem at all. It is a lot of fun to ride. I do like getting it on the pipe and thrashing it about. I feel like I'm going fast on it, so I'm really enjoying it from that point of view. But just talking about the carburetor to start with, 3 to 4 days setting this up, but I think we've come to a happy medium now, and the bike is running pretty good. What I will say about this carb, yes, it's enough to pay. I wouldn't pay any more. We had a few issues to start with during the first couple of days of testing and that, and it felt like it was running out of fuel at times. And on a couple of occasions it did come to a stop, it just died. So I've reverted back to the stock GPX fuel filter at the moment, and we've not had that issue since. It's been running all the time. What issues I get now with the carb is the high idle at times. Just when you think you've got the idle right, you can go for a bit of a ride around the field, and you'll come to a stop, so you'll be on the pipe quite a bit, and then you come to a stop, and the idle will be around between 2,000 to 2,300 RPM, which is a little bit higher. I like to try and keep it between 1,500 and 2,000. And it just takes a little bit of time to settle down. So over a couple of hours time scale, on a couple of occasions I might have to adjust the fuel mixing ratio just to bring the idle down a little bit. So I can do that on the fly, it's not a problem. It doesn't take much doing, I can do it with my gloves on. But it's very small increments of adjustment on the fuel mixture ratio screw, that's all. And also on the idle screw as well, the slide height. Again, if you're adjusting that, it's very small increments, and it's important that you try and keep the measurements as near as the requirements on the information sheet you get with the carburetor, which is 1.8 millimeters for the slide height. So that's my only little gripe at the moment is the idle. It just a little bit up and down. It rides a bit high sometimes, so I just have to adjust it occasionally. But the main thing is, if I twist the throttle, the power's there, and it's a quarter action throttle. I'll just talk about the throttle now. Let's move the helmet. It's a nibby throttle, so it's quarter action. The standard throttle on the GPX is really long. I mean, I'm talking, it keeps going and going. So it takes a while to get it into that, get the power in a little bit sometimes, depending if you've got dirty gloves, things like that. With a quick action throttle, it's full throttle pretty much straight away. And with the smart carb, I'll apologise now, it's not a smart carb, it's an intelligent carb. Smart carb, its own brand, as is Electron, as is XTNG or XTNG. It's actually X-Power Touch and Go Power Systems. That's the actual official name of the carb. So the quarter action throttle is good with the carburetor. One of the issues I had was with the cable, and sometimes I'd be on the pipe and I shut it off and it'd lock. I wouldn't be able to bring the throttle back in. And what it was the end of the throttle cable, when it clips into the cam, the actual metal nipple was too wide, and you can see there's a little bit of sideways play in the throttle, just a tiny bit. If I was pushing it in, it was catching, the metal nipple on the end of the cable was catching on the inside of the housing, which would just stop it opening. Once you were on the throttle, it was okay. So it's when you took it back and tried opening it again, it were locked in position, and that's because it was too wide, was the metal nipple. So I've sanded that down on both sides, and I've not had the issue since. So that's sorted out. Quite a simple job. So overall, £320 for an intelligent carburetor. It's enough to pay. It's more than enough to pay on this bike. If I was going to put a similar carb on a KTM, a Beta, a Sherco, any of those sort of mainstream bikes, a Yamaha, whatever, I would go for something like Electron or Smart Carb, because a high-end bike deserves a high-end product. That's the ethos I'm working on with this bike. In some respects, I'm a little bit disappointed with the carb, because I think the bottom to mid-range could be better. I was expecting it to be better than it is, but I can get around that. I know how to ride the bike. I know how to get the best out of the bike, so I'm making the bike work for me, and I'm enjoying it, to be fair. But I do still think the stock carb has more to offer, so I'm going to be doing some work with the stock carb at some point, probably in the spring. But I'm going to run this for the time being, because all I want to do now is ride the bike. We've now got 23 hours on the bike, and she's holding up pretty well. You know, you've seen what I'm doing around here. It's given me a workout. By the time that I do want to start racing in the spring, I'm going to be fit, and that's what it's all about. Just keeping the fitness going during the winter. And again, with this bike, I'm not too fussed about proper cleaning like I would do with my KTM. I'm riding this thing like, I've been on it like 4 times this week already, and that's the sort of riding time that I want to keep up. So yeah, holding up well. We're going to talk about the hydraulic clutch in a different video, because I just think it just keeps the two subjects separate. But that's a bit of an overall of the bike, and also on the touch and go carb. Like I say, we've struck a happy medium with it now. I think it was worth doing, but I still want to test back to back with the stock carb when it's got the right settings in, just so we can be fully sure. But that's going to be another 2 months away, I would think, when sort of March comes. Overall, she's holding up. I've done a few other little mods as well. I've changed the kill switch. And that's the current KTM kill switch. That it's only temporary wired in, is that, because I'm after a switch. I'm after buying one of the older style switches, what will actually switch the lights off. This is a newer switch which keeps the lights on all the time, so it's only temporarily wired in. And I will show you more detail when I get the switch, just to show you what's actually gone on with that. So let's go for a ride.
That's it guys, that's a wrap. See you in the next video about the hydraulic clutch. Happy New Year everybody, and see you soon. Take care for now.